So this is a follow-up to my one about grief and depression and how to deal with it behind closed doors, because some people don't want to watch you do it. Anyway, so I did the video, and one thing I don't do is do a script. So a lot of times I don't look back on it until I don't know, a lot later or something, until somebody, a friend, brings it up. Anyway, so my last video, I got contacted about a couple of questions about myself and dealing with what I went through, my brother, my mother, my sexual molestation, and all the different little things that came from it. Anyway, so one of the questions was, what motivated you to persevere? I don't really know. I think there was so much going on at the moment. Well, at that moment, I think I was running on autopilot. I think my focus was never on me. My focus was on other people and how to keep the quiet and not disrupt family or anything else like that. So that was my main focus, and I think if my dad ever found out, and hopefully he never sees this video, he's still around, I think if my dad found out who it was, my dad really would have killed the guy. And so it was something that I just, even at a young age, like I was like 5, 6, 7, and it's one of those things where, just a side note to it all, is that sometimes when I get asked too many questions about something, I sometimes get a distorted view of what happened. Sometimes I like to believe I was 4 or 5. Really looking back, I was 6, 7. I think it's more of a shame. So you think I'm a lot younger, then you don't think it was out of your control. But 6 or 7, I could have said something, but I just knew deep down it was not a good thing. And the stuff I want to talk about it, but it would bring a head to who it was. And so right now, the person's still around, and for better thing, the person was single when I was getting molested. Anyway, if you hear any noises, I'm just picking my nails right now because this can be a little heavy for me. In fact, I'll get my spinner. That makes me feel better. Anyway, so what motivated me to persevere? I just think it wasn't me that was motivated. I think it was just to keep the peace. I didn't want to see other people getting in trouble, and so I just kept on going forward, and hopefully everything would fall into line and get better. And I don't know. I just persevered. I just carried on going forward, and there was a question that really, really made me think about, and I did try and answer it on my comment section, but these are questions it's hard for me to think about or even know what I did or what I was doing at the time. Anyway, the another question was, what instilled in you the belief that you are worth more than you were told? I never had a belief that I was worth more. I always felt that I was probably worth less, because normally people build you up, not tear you down. So what I felt at the time was kind of useless, but I thought that was kind of normal because that's all I ever felt about myself. But deep down I knew I was destined for better things, and I could get through this. And my mother was in hospital for 14 weeks. My parents got into a car crash. My dad was drinking. And so my mother was in traction for 14 weeks. And if my mother can persevere being stuck in a bed, or anybody being stuck in bed for 14 weeks without getting out, that's something I think about persevering, but also you got to believe more in yourself that you can do that. And I did have I don't know. Do you know, these are so hard for me to answer. The really questions, it's really plays on me when I tried to answer in the comment section, it took me nearly 6 hours to write answers that I hope made sense. But again, what still instilled in you the belief you are worth more than you are told? I do have a note for these questions, so if I'm reading, that's all I'm reading. There's no answers. I really don't know. I think because, when my brother was alive, as much as we got on each other's nerves, he was my best friend. It's the only constant in my life that I had besides my parents. And he always gave me some sort of strength to keep on going, and he had better strengths than I did in some things, and I had better than what he did. And so we were kind of a team. As we got older, we separated more. But I think I got more worth from him than anybody else, if I really think about it. Hopefully I answered that question okay. Number 3, where did you find the strength to endure all the grief and pain? I think I did really well at losing myself. I did really well by going to Dreamland. I did well about disappearing in my head, and I still do that now. Sometimes when people talk to me, I do wander off, and sometimes it's funny and sometimes it's sad because it's embarrassing to hell, especially when I'm working with clients and mid-conversation I have no clue what we were talking about, and it just makes me so sad. That's what I'm doing. See, I'm drifting. Like, where did you find the strength to endure all the grief and pain? I think my brother gave me the strength when he passed away, though. I had some friends that helped. I had probably not many, if any, family members besides my cousin Graham. But a lot of friends rallied around me. But besides that, I don't really have a very support system. My family and everybody ran to my parents' side, and so I didn't have anything. I don't know. These questions are so hard for me to answer. I just really don't have answers for them that well. Where did you find the strength to endure all the grief and pain? You know what? It's just part of things that you battle through. I think another thing, I came up with a lot of guilt. I wasn't married, and my parents were not going to become grandparents, and it was just a lot of guilt from my shoulders, and I had to fill the void of my brother, and I knew I just couldn't do it again to my parents. Even though one of the things when my brother died that bothered me, like, if I'm going to be really open and honest about everything, is that I always thought I wouldn't make it to 30. I always had in my head that I would pass away young, and I don't know why I felt this way. My brother, I had resentment for him because he took away something that I wanted, and so knowing that what he did could stop me from doing it, and so I couldn't do that to my parents twice. In my family, there's a lot of depression on my mother's side, and there's a lot of alcohol on my dad's side. So that's how I think through times, that's how they kind of deal with it, that my mother's side smoke a lot of pot, and the kind of, I don't want to say druggies, but the kind of druggies. So where did I find the strength? I just kept on going forward. Once my brother took away my so-called destiny, I had to find a new direction to go. And then I moved to the US with my cousin Greg. Anyway, that's another story. What was your guidance? This is question 4. What was your guiding light that kept you moving forward in life? I was always reaching for approval from everybody and anybody. I always thought I was forgettable. If I saw somebody out that I'd met one time before, whether it was in a group of people or whether it was one-on-one meeting, I always thought that I was very forgettable. So I never would talk to them until they talked to me, because I didn't always had the insecurity of if I went over and said hi, that they would look at me and don't know who I am. So I was always looking for somebody to recognize me and somebody to give me credit for things, and somebody that told me I was a good person and everything else like that. I was always looking for some sort of approval from everybody, and so it made me keep searching for it and keep searching for it, and then I kept on moving because I didn't like who I was. So I thought, okay, yay, I'll move to the next city, and then you forget that you follow you. And I always had these ideas of I was going to become this amazing person and, you know, have a new background and like being in the witness protection services, but my past followed me. And so that's probably the best I can give. When my mum died, my guiding light to keep forward was autopilot. I wasn't thinking, I was in a bad state of mind. Nobody was seeing it. And so when my mother died, and this is how bad I don't look on my videos, but I can't even remember what I told about my mother dying. So when my mother passed away on August 25th, I kind of went in a spiral, but I didn't know I was in a spiral. My mother passed away in the house that I had, and so I let the house go because I don't know, not that I couldn't walk into the house, it just, the home of it had gone. And I didn't care that, you know, my mother always wanted to be there and die there. That was fine. I was happy with that. But anyway, so I kind of lost my direction then, and so my mother never wanted me to go to Israel. So I booked a trip to Israel, and then I bought a motorcycle, which she said don't ever do. So I was just like, I didn't know who I was or what I was doing. I was kind of reaching out to friends and saying, I'm in a really bad depressed state. I don't know how much more of this I can do. And so I did all that, and then I moved into a new apartment, I bought a motorcycle, booked a trip to Israel, and then I legally changed my name. And then January the 13th, let me work out, my mother's been 11 years, so that was 2012. So January 13th of 2013, I decided to take a huge overdose. And lucky it didn't work, but nobody knows why it didn't work, because the amount of stuff that I took was out of control. And so how they find out how much you took is that when the paramedics come, they get what bottles you have, and they see when the date of prescription was, and then they work out how many should be missing, and then they count up of what's still there, what should have been missing, and then they know what the number you took. Mine was a 300. I will honestly say I took it with a bottle of red wine, a really nice one, but the last thing I said to myself was, what the F have I just done? And then I blacked out. So I ended up on, I came up to, I couldn't see very well, so I went outside my front door. I smashed my head open already because I was trying to find how to get out. And then I got downstairs, and where I lived, there was a concrete outside, and I went down concrete stairs. And then another resident called the management. Management came and got me and called 911, and the ambulance people came, and then they put me on a gurney, and then they threw me in an ambulance, and then I felt ridicule all the way from the to hospital. Then I saw a psychiatrist in the hospital. that put me down as a danger to myself, which kind of, yes, I was. And so I ended up putting on a 5150, what they say in California, which is basically when it's a doctor's ordered hold, it's a 72-hour hold. If they hold you any longer than that, they need to get a judge's permission. You do have a right to have a lawyer fight on your behalf. So not many people go past this 5150 of 72 hours. And so I couldn't walk properly because my brain, after taking all those pills, was scrambled to hell. And I didn't really, you know what? It was one of them where I was more embarrassed and mortified than anything else. I didn't want to fight anything of it. I didn't want to deal with anything of it. I just wanted to go home. I knew I made a mistake, but I knew that I needed treatment of some sort, which I was already seeing a psychiatrist and a therapist, and not long got diagnosed as bipolar. And getting diagnosed as a mental illness when you don't know anything about it, because nobody was talking about it. And so I saw the worst side of having a mental illness, and I think that's what sent me over the edge. Now, I am proud I have bipolar. I am proud I take medication. I am proud I have a psychiatrist and a therapist, and I can do dancing videos, as if you look at them on my shorts, you'll see me dancing around like a lunatic. Anyway, forgot what it was. Squirrels. I'm sorry, I'm just getting over a cold. So I was on a 5150, and I was in the place, and everybody there was basically happy to be there. Me, on the other hand, I just wanted out. I just wanted to crawl under a rock and just probably die that way. Anyway, I got kicked out after 48 hours. Psychiatrist says I shouldn't be there, that I did screw up. And so I was put on new medication, and then since then my medication's been changed. And that's the one good thing, if you have good psychiatrists and that, is that you can find the perfect cocktail of medications that make you work for now. They do taper off, and then you kind of come back with something else. And I've gone with different medications to alter that, depending on what my feelings are at the time, my mentality, my mood, and so it's still a day-by-day thing, but I try and have as much fun as possible, and I try and talk about mental health as much as possible, and then I try and have fun with mental health as possible, and I also like to mock mental health, because if I'm going to dwell on it for too long, I'm going to go downhill. And anyway, after this lengthy video, when I got the questions, it did send me in a spiral, and I did not try and go. I was going down that path of wanting to run away and escape, and it's never I want to die. I just want to go somewhere and disappear from myself. And so coming off this last video was really hard, really tough. My therapist said get hold of your psychiatrist, who then prescribed another medication. But a lot of times I don't know when I'm in a downward spiral until I'm down. And it's the same with manic, of going up. I don't really know I'm up until I got 20 shopping bags around me, and I realize, oh, I've been shopping a lot, and that's a good sign of being manic, amongst other things, and some of them are fun. But that's another video. Anyway, hopefully I got to answer some of these questions that maybe other people have got, want to know. So what motivated you to persevere? I just think it was just moving forward, protecting other people. What instilled in you the belief that you are worth more than you were told? Well, I couldn't be any worse, any less, so positively I had to be better. Where did you find the strength and endure all the grief and pain? Just plodding on and finding excuses to just keep going forward, and lying to yourself that you need to go forward. And I'm glad I went forward. I'm in a good place right now, besides last week when I was having a meltdown. But basically, I am in a good place. What was the guiding light that kept you moving forward in life? My mother, my brother, my mother, my friends, myself, my spirituality. Am I wanting to people tell me how great I am? Anyway, hopefully these are some questions and answers, and I didn't really wanted this video to be so long, even though I don't know how long it is. Anyway, hopefully talk to you guys soon. I'm going to see how well this video does with myself. Alright, kids, be good, care about one another, talk about mental health, be open and be honest, and don't think you need people to give you a pat on the back. Always remember you can do that yourself, and what other people think means nothing. And I also heard somebody say that if you have a problem with me, text me, and if you're not in my phone book, well then I don't have a problem with anything. So anyway, okay, I'm out of here. I'll talk to you kids soon. Be good, be everything. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, ring the bell, but I don't think they ring the bell anymore, but that just proves how much videos I really watch, but I do watch them. Alright, take care, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.